Welcome to my channel Tune to Linux. In this video I'm going to discuss and demonstrate about HA NFS cluster. Okay, so I'm going to configure NFS which will be running in HA environment, and I'm going to use cluster stack is Suse HA. So in my previous video I have shown how to configure Suse HA and create resource and other stuff. If you are not seen those videos, please go to my channel and please check for those videos. Okay, so for this video I have two node of cluster. This is the node 1 crm_mon r1. If I do this, I can see there is two node which is online, node 1 and node 2, and there is a resource group which is I have created for test, and it is already running, and the resource group name is data grp. Okay, so now for this video we are going to configure HA NFS, and we are going to, once we have configured the HA NFS, we are going to share with client system, and we will going to access that share from client system, and we will test whether it is accessible or not, and also we will try to failover failback and see whether while doing the failover failback whether that NFS share is still accessible or not. Right, so first thing which we require is to install NFS kernel package, which is required to install on both the system. Okay, that package you have to install. And second thing, you need a LVM which is already available in your system, and that LVM we are going to create a primitive in cluster configuration. And third, we are going to create a file system primitive. Okay, and fourth, we need a floating IP, and that floating IP is going to be an NFS IP through which NFS client servers will going to mount those NFS share. So we need this IP, and also a shared directory. In this case we are going to use file system, this LVM file system which is going to mount in test, and this file system we are going to share it. Okay, this is the requirement you need, and once you have those, you are good to configure it. Okay, so let me show you my VG information. There is a VG called test VG, and inside this VG you can see there is one LV running which I have created already, and it is formatted for as ext3. Okay, if you would like to configure or format your file system ext4 or XFS, you can go ahead and do that. For this video I just created as ext3, and I'm sure you are aware of it, how to create LVM and file system, so I'm not going to show you that one. Okay, so my file system is already created, and I have a floating IP which is I'm going to use 192.168.169.182. This is the floating IP which I'm going to use for NFS to connect or to access the NFS share. Right, so first thing what we have to do, we have to create a primitive. We already have a LVM, so we have to create a primitive for LVM. Okay, so sorry, there are three ways of configuring your primitive. There are command line utility which is called CRM. You can use CRM, and once you go inside CRM you can run configure. Okay, and if you configure it and go inside configure, if you do show, you can see the configuration details for your current configuration. What is your current configuration details that you can see. And if you want to configure a new primitive, you can go ahead and do like this primitive, and the name of primitive, for example NFS LV, and you have to specify the resource agent, OCF, heartbeat, and LVM, and parameters like params and VG grp name equal to vg name is test vg, like that. So this is how you have to do, and I'm not going to configure like this. Okay, I'm going to configure in a different way. So I'm just telling you this is one option which you can able to you can, if you would like to use, you can use it. And there is another way of doing, like once you go to CRM configure, you can create a shadow CIB file, and inside this you have to specify your primitives parameters. What are the primitive you create, you have to specify, and once you are okay with all the settings, you just have to commit it. And once you have commit, it will save as an actual file, and that will be online. So how we have to create a set of CIB? So for that you have to run CIB and new, and for example test NFS. I'm going to create a new set of CIB file, and once you run this command, you would be able to see here configure new CIB test set of CIB is created. And now you can also, here you can see test NFS. Just go back one step and you can see right now you are in shadow CIB. So if you wanted to configure same steps, you have to do configure primitive NFS LV OCF heartbeat, for example, and LVM, and so on. You have to give the parameters, and once you are done with everything, you just have to do commit, and it will save your settings. Okay, so these are the two way which you can use, but for this demonstration I'm going to show you a third way, which is I like to do is CRM configure edit. It is pretty much simple and easy. Like we use a VI editor, it will go inside this VI editor format, and you can copy paste n number of lines and paste it here, and you can just save it like escape X or WQ. So once you save this, you are done with that. So you don't have to type everything one by one and you have to update. So this is pretty much easy, so that's why I prefer to use or edit a new primitive in this way. Okay, so let me tell you one thing which I forgot about the NFS options which we have it. We have two types of resource agent. I believe you are aware already what is resource agent. I have already discussed about resource agent in my previous video, and there are two types of resource agent. One is export FS and another one is NFS server. So there are two different resource agents comes with HA cluster, HA add-on package. So either one of it you can use, but I mean both has their own features and pros and cons. You have to check which is your as per your requirement is flexible. You can use that resource agent. For this video I'm going to use NFS server, so I'm going to show you how to configure NFS server resource agent, which will going to act as a HA NFS server. So if you wanted to know more about export FS, how to configure, if you are confused, please go like this CRM array info and just do OCF heartbeat, and you have to specify export FS like this and just run, and you can see the description about your export FS resource agent. This is a mandatory option which is in a strict. So those are the mandatory option you have to use. Directory, FSID, and other option you can use. And for again NFS servers, if you are unaware how to configure NFS server, okay, so you can see those options. So here I'm going to use NFS init script. This is an important script which used by HAE cluster to stop NFS init script to start stop. So I'm going to use this NFS init parameter. This is important. And other important mandatory option is NFS set directory. This the NFS server's resource agent will save NFS related information in this specific directory, and this directory must be able to failover before NFS itself. So this is one mandatory option where your NFS related files and folder will going to reside. So this is the parameter which we need to use. And the third option is here NFS IP, which is going to be a floating IP we need to use to access your NFS share. And the other options we have available for operation, you can see start, stop, timeout options. You can specify based on your requirement. Okay, great. So let's start. So like I said, I have already LVM for the share which I'm going to use, and to configure this, like I told you, I have file NFS. 1 minute. Yeah, so here I already configured and tested that whether this works or not. So I have already taken a backup. So this is the primitive for your for my file system, and this is for my LVM VG, and this is for my IP. Like I said, this IP is 192.168.169.182. That IP I'm going to use, and the parameter for NFS servers, this init script is going to use by the cluster script user has been sm minus notify, and we have to specify the NFS info directory, which is a shared directory, and all the NFS related files and folder going to reside in this location. And there is an IP which is going to be float between your nodes. Okay, so these are the primitives which I require to use. So I will simply going to copy here just like that, and I will do crm configure edit, and once I run that command, I will go somewhere here in primitive section below, and I will paste it. And now let me delete this line, and my primitive section is done. Now I have to copy my group section. Okay, so this is the group section. All this primitive will be going to be start under this resource group name NFS-GRP, and this is my first LV primitive, file system primitive, IP primitive, and NFS server primitive. So this group I require, so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it below this group section, and I have to delete this line. So that's it. This is the primitive section and the group section. This is what I require. So let me save it. Great. So if you are seeing there is no error and it is saved, that means you are all good. So let me just try to check whether it has started or not. crm_mon r1, the command which I prefer to use to see the status. And this is the resource group which I have recently just now I have created, and you can see those primitive LV, FS, IP, and NFS server, everything is started. Great. So this NFS server service which is started by cluster, and if you wanted to double check, you can check like this: NFS server status. And okay, so it is started in node 2, so that's why it is saying unused here. And to show you that, let me go back to node 2 and check here whether NFS services are running or not. Excellent. So here you can see the services are running. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to quickly show you failover test to another node. crm configure crm resource move resource group name and the node 1, and it has moved. Now if I check the status, it has gone to node 1 and everything running in node 1. And let me go back to node 1, and if I now check the status for NFS service, now it has started in node 1, and also if you check the status for resource group, it is started in node 1. Great. So the next step is this file system, which is going to be shared for all the clients. And like I said, this NFS info directory where your NFS related files and folder will store. You can go inside this and you can see these files. And there's an important file called etab. You can get it. Now you can't see any information. It is empty, and I will show you what is that used for. Okay, so the NFS file system, which is going to be test, I'm going to mention in export fs file, like we do for standalone NFS server configuration. Okay, we use /etc export file. I'm going to use the same, and I will specify the file system name test, and it will going to share for everyone. So that's why I'm saying asterisk and read write comma sync, right? So asterisk is for everyone, and read write the data which is able to the user would be able to read write the data in this file system, and it would be sync. You probably know what is sync and async. Okay, so I'm going to use sync option because it is better than async. And also there are other options called root underscore squash, root underscore other options. I don't recall currently right now. For this demonstration, I think the default options are fair enough. So let me save it, and you have to ensure this line this entry is also updated in node2, because when you are going to fail over your resource group, if these entries are not there, then you will be in problem. Okay, I copied. Okay, test star inside this read write sync save. Good. So I have updated. So now, like I said, etab file is empty, but now what I'm going to do, NFS export fs -a for everything, b for verbose output. So it is exported, and it shows that test file system is exported. And just ignore this one. This is regarding something for the version NFS utils, and it is exported. You can also see like this, someone -e localhost. You can see that test has been shared for everyone. Okay, so now if I get this file, and I can see that entry has come now. Earlier it was empty, so now it has given now some entry has been updated. So these files, which is going to be used by cluster will look for this file, and it will check which are the file system are available and shared. It will not going to check the file /etc export, and based on this file information, cluster will going to action whether to share for which node, and for which node it is allowed and which node it is denied. So now you can see it is shared. So the next step is to test the mount. So I have a client system which is etc Suse release. It's a 12 version. Okay, so I'm going to mount that file system in this system, and currently it is not mounted. So let me mount that. IP is mount 182 is the IP, and file system is test, and I'm going to mount this on /mnt. Great. So it looks like it got mounted, and let me see mnt. It is mounted, and default it took NFS version 4, since we haven't specified any versions specific to use while mounting. So it has taken default NFS 4 version, and this is size, and it has mounted on /mnt. Let me go to /mnt and try to write some data and see whether I'm able to do that or not. So there are already some file. Let me try to check NFS test, and need to create some files. So Great. So I think I'm able to create those files, and I can see these are the files which is just now I have created. Excellent. So now this share is coming from serum_mon for node 1, and it is accessible. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this resource, crm resource, move resource group name, and the node name is node 2. So it is currently running on node 1. I'm moving in node 2. Done. So let me see the status. It is all started in node 2. I'm good. And let me go to the client system here, and let me see whether I can able to access. I'm still able to access the NFS share without any interruption, and again still able to see those files. And now let me try to create some directory, whether I can able to create directories or not. NFS test dir. Okay, enter. Okay, so I'm able to create. So this is it. Okay, so there is nothing else apart from that. Those are the steps which you have to follow. Okay, so let me try to give you those steps one more time, so that you won't have any problem while configuring your server. So those are the steps which you have to do, and I have showed you how to do that. And if you wanted to see that file one more time, this is the file, and these are the primitives, not this one, this one, this one. This is for IP, this is for NFS server, and this is for the group. Those are the configuration you have to do. Okay, so that's it, guys. Please try to configure your NFS server, and let me know if you have any issues while configuring. And also let me know if you would like to know about the export FS resource agent, which we have another options to export NFS file system. Let me know if you are interested. I will probably try to make a video on that. Okay, thank you so much for watching my video, guys. Please subscribe my channel for more videos, and also if this video is informative for you, please like my video and stay tuned.